Hello, Majid English 8 here. Thank you for watching my videos. I hope your English is getting better and better every day through watching these videos and of course practicing with them. If you find the videos useful, please kindly share them with your friends. Please like the videos and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. This is useful for my channel. Today I am with you with another unit of Blue Interchange. So far we have covered 13 units of the book and today we are heading for unit 14, talking about emojis, gestures, and topics related to them. So the title of the unit says, Now I Get It. It is the interpretation of a gesture or an emoji or something like that. But before heading for snapshot, our word file has things for us. Here, what are we going to cover today at a glance? Today at a glance, we are covering nonverbal communication, which is communication without the use of language, gestures and meaning, signs and drawing, conclusions based on the signs we see, interpreting body language or gestures, explaining gestures and meanings related to them, describing acceptable and prohibited behavior in different situations, and finally asking about signs and their meanings. And under our grammar focus part, we will have modals and adverbs, talking about degrees of certainty, might, may, could, must, maybe, perhaps, probably, and definitely. And here also permission, obligation, and prohibition are the three topics we are covering under our grammar. So without further ado, snapshot it is for us. Snapshot, here we got some emojis, popular emojis. What do they mean? So because this is not something that difficult, we're just covering it for the sake of the words. It says, I'm not amused. It's clear, amused, amusing. I'm laughing so hard. I'm crying. I'm bored. Bored, adjective. Boring, also adjective. Bored, boring. Great job. Good job. That's amazing. You know what it is? I'm so embarrassed. Embarrassed. I've done something wrong and now I feel ashamed. Embarrassed. Embarrassed. 2 R's, 2 S's. Your spelling does matter when you are taking IELTS or TOEFL or any other standardized test. So please invest on it from now. I love it. That's awful. Very bad. Terrible. Awful. Just kidding. And my heart is breaking. Okay. I guess there was no new words for you here, but what we have here to make up for that is speaking practice, some questions and the sample responses. So my advice for you is to pause the video at these questions and give your own answer in order to hone your speaking practice. It says, do you use emojis? My sample response: yes, I do. Emojis add flair to my messages, add flair, add style, add feelings to my messages. And this is message, not message. And there are 2 words very similar to each other. Let's here talk about them. One of them is message and the other one is massage. So message, M-E-S-S-A-G-E, but massage with the stress on the second syllable, M-A, and the rest of the story the same. Message, massage. So they add flair to my messages. They express feelings like for happiness or for sadness. Happiness and sadness, both nouns. Happy and sad adjectives, happiness, noun, and sadness, nouns. NESS is noun maker, suffix. They're versatile in casual chats and formal email. So what is the meaning of versatile? Means covering a lot of different aspects. Let's head for our longman and see what versatile means. stress on the first syllable, making it
versatile,
versatile. And British says
versatile,
versatile. So versatile and versatile, yeah?
versatile,
Someone who is versatile has many different skills. A
very versatile performer,
very versatile performer, a performer who can perform different roles. So,
a more versatile workforce,
versatile workforce, the workforce or workers who can do different things, having many different uses or different skills, versatile. And the noun for that, versatility. So that was the first question. Do you use emojis? This is the answer. Flair was a good word here, and versatile, a new word for us. Another question. What other expressions can you use emojis to convey? Answer. Emojis depict actions. So depict means draw, show, manifest, represent. Emojis depict actions like for running or for food cravings, liking, like. They convey, send, weather, travel plans, and even cultural nuances, differences, enhancing communication. A very beautiful sentence. Let's read it one more time. They convey weather, travel plans, and even cultural nuances, cultural differences, slight differences between cultures, which enhance communication. Reduced adjective clause, which enhance, reduced to enhancing communication. We will cover it under our advanced grammar course, Communicate What You Mean, on my YouTube channel. So, reduced adjective clause, very good for students aiming to get a high score on IELTS, TOEFL, or any other standardized test. Reduced adverb clauses, reduced adjective clauses. You can find them on my channel under Advanced English Grammar. And the third question, what is the weirdest, strange emojis you've ever seen? What is the strangest things you've ever seen among emojis? It says this one stands out, is obvious, draws attention to itself. This one stands out. The funniest, definitely this one. The hardest to understand might be this one, expressing confusion or uncertainty. Confusion or uncertainty. Emojis vary in interpretation, adding intrigue to conversations or adding complication, complexity to conversations. It says emojis vary. Various, adjective, vary, the verb for that. So it is V-A-R-Y. That one is very, the adverb. In interpretation, adding, again, reduced adjective clause, which adds, adding intrigue to conversations or adding complexity to conversations. So these were my sample responses to the questions under Snapshot. I hope you have also added your speaking sample responses. This way, your speaking will improve. So if you are good, let's go for exercise 2 and word power, body language. Again, here we got mainly some words that might be new for you. It says, what is this woman doing in each picture? Match each description with the picture. So pictures A to F and sentences 1 to 6. If you take a look at these pictures, she's doing different things, or she has different gestures in each picture. But here, some sentences. Let's see if there is any new word in them first. She's scratching her head. She's biting her nails. Bite, you know, biting her nail. She's rolling her eyes. Rolling her eyes. She's tapping her foot. Tapping her foot. So, if you want to see what tapping foot means, see, tapping foot. Mickey Mouse is tapping its foot, tapping your foot, tap your foot, tap, 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 tap. So why? Probably you are waiting, probably you are angry like this. Tap, tapping your foot. And just one point here, what is foot, what is leg? This part that you have your shoe on is foot, but the rest or the whole is called your leg. Leg, and this is foot. Tapping your foot, she's pulling her hair out, pull her hair out, pull her hair out, and she's wrinkling her nose. Wrinkle. What is wrinkle? Google image will tell us what wrinkle is. Wrinkle. So these lines, they are wrinkles. They could be formed on your forehead, they could be formed around your eyes or on your face. Anyway, they are wrinkles. And now wrinkling, nose. This is wrinkling your nose. Why? You don't like something. You are disappointed with something, or whatever the reason, it's something not interesting to you, wrinkling your nose. So now if we want to match these with the images, she's scratching her head. This one, scratching. She's biting her nail. This one. Rolling her eyes. This one. Tapping her foot. Pulling out her hair. And wrinkling her nose. This one. Got it? Maybe some of these words were new to you. But now, part B. It says use the pictures in part A and these adjectives to describe how the woman is feeling. Instead of this, I have added one speaking practice for you. We will take care of that. But before that, let's see if any of these words is new for us. First, please pause the video and read them so you make sure that your pronunciation is also correct. Now, I read them for you. Annoyed, confused, embarrassed, ashamed, frustrated. Frustrated means tired of trying something for several times and not getting the results for. Frustrated, disappointed. Irritated, annoyed and bothered. Irritated. Bored. Boring? Bored. Disgusted. You hate something, you don't like something, you're disgusted because that thing is disgusting. Exhausted. Tired. Impatient. Impatient, and nervous, which you know the meaning for. Now, the speaking that here I have devised for you is I have selected 3 of these words: embarrassed, frustrated, and disgusted. And my question for you is this: when do you usually feel embarrassed? So please pause the video and say when you feel embarrassed. Please say when and provide some examples for that. This is how you are practicing your speaking here with me. So my sample response for that: embarrassment can happen when I find myself in awkward or uncomfortable situations, such as tripping in public or making a social faux pas or blunder, a mistake while you're speaking. For example, French, c'est français, faux pas, blunder. It often comes from feeling exposed or judged by others, but it's a universal experience that everyone encounters at some point. Everyone faces at some point. One more time, I read the sample response. It had some words for you. Embarrassment can occur when I find myself in awkward or uncomfortable situations, such as tripping in public. Slipping, for example, the street is covered with snow or ice and you trip or slip and you fall. Or making a social faux pas, blunder. It often stems from comes from, stem from, come from. Beautiful. Feeling exposed means being in the middle of a group of people. You say something or you do something, and that is embarrassing, or you feel ashamed for that, or judged by others. But it's a universal experience that everyone encounters, faces at some point. Okay? Sample response for feeling embarrassed. When do you feel frustrated? Please pause the video and give your answer. Mine: I might feel frustrated when I can't convey my thoughts clearly or when others don't understand me. Additionally, and moreover, struggling to comprehend instructions or information in a new language can be frustrating. Overcoming these hurdles, these problems, these issues, these barriers requires patience and perseverance. Perseverance means continue doing something in order to get your results. Perseverance, perseverance noun, and perseverant adjective. A very beautiful word for you. It says perseverance.
Perseverance.
Or British,
Perseverance.
perseverance. It means determination. It means will. So determination to keep trying to achieve something in spite of the difficulties. Yeah, It took
perseverance to overcome his reading problems.
He had reading problems, and it took perseverance, means continue doing something despite the hardships. Anyway, one more time, the sample response: I might feel frustrated when I can't convey my thoughts. Convey your thoughts, something beautiful, transfer it into your vocabulary notebook clearly, or when others don't understand me. Additionally, a very beautiful adverb instead of and. Struggling to comprehend instructions. Struggling to understand instructions or information in a new language can be frustrating. Overcoming these hurdles, very beautiful. Overcoming these problems requires patience and perseverance. And the third one about feeling disgusted. When do you feel disgusted? I might feel disgusted, hate it, in situations involving unpleasant sights, smells, or tastes. So, sight, smell, or any other feeling would be unpleasant, making the situation disgusting for you. Such as encountering spoiled food, that's ugly. Witnessing unsanitary conditions, dirty. Sanitary means clean. Unsanitary means dirty. Witnessing unsanitary conditions, it is something that you feel, for example, it's a public restroom, washroom, and that's not clean. So you feel disgusted. Creepy. What is it? It's a natural reaction to avoid potentially harmful or repulsive stimuli. Stimuli, plural of stimulus, something that triggers you. You can put the word things instead of stimuli here. Repulsive things. Repulsive means things that drive you back, that you hate. So, this was the sample response for feeling disgusted. One more time. I'm gonna feel disgusted in situations involving unpleasant sights, smells, or tastes, such as encountering spoiled food or witnessing unsanitary conditions. Unsanitary conditions, transfer it into your vocabulary notebook. It is a natural reaction to avoid potentially harmful or repulsive stimuli. Okay, you got it? So this was exercise 2. I tried to move it toward more speaking practice for you, and I hope that you are speaking with each exercise. If you're good, my friends, we're moving to exercise 3, conversation. It's pretty confusing, so I want you not to look at the text. just take a look at this picture and tell me, what do you see in the picture? So we can say, I see a woman and a boy, and she's sitting, he's standing or bending. She's probably, because we are not sure, probably he is suggesting some soda, and she seems with the nod of her head, probably she wants it. If she has the nod bending down, so probably she wants it. This is maximum thing that comes to my mind out of this picture. Anyway, so where are they? We talked about it. What are they doing? We talked about it, and now let's go and listen to that. So let's listen to it and see what it is without looking at the text. Let's see.
Get it? Page 93. Exercise 3. Conversation. It's pretty confusing. Part A. Listen and practice.
Please listen. I just want to test your listening skill. After that, we will look at the text and listen again.
How was dinner with the new Bulgarian student last night? What's her name? Elena?
Yeah, Elena. It was nice. We always have a good time, but I still don't understand her very well. You see, when we offer her something to eat or drink, she nods her head up and down, but at the same time, she says no.
It might mean she wants to accept it, but she thinks it's not polite. In some countries, you have to refuse any offer first. Then the host insists and you accept it.
I don't know. It's pretty confusing.
It could mean she doesn't want anything, but she thinks it's rude to say no.
Actually, in some countries, when people move their heads up and down, it means no.
Really? Now I get it.
Okay, did you understand the conversation? Or you need to listen to it one more time? Please listen to it one more time, take some notes, and give me a summary of what you heard, okay? Even if now you think you can give the summary, you may pause the video and give your own summary by one time listening to that.
Confusing.
How was dinner with the new Bulgarian student last night? What's her name? Elena?
Yeah, Elena. It was nice. We always have a good time, but I still don't understand her very well. You see, when we offer her something to eat or drink, she nods her head up and down, but at the same time, she says no.
It might mean she wants to accept it, but she thinks it's not polite. In some countries, you have to refuse any offer first. Then the host insists and you accept it.
I don't know. It's pretty confusing.
It could mean she doesn't want anything, but she thinks it's rude to say no.
Actually, in some countries, when people move their heads up and down, it means no.
Really? Now I get it.
Okay, got it? So, if you want to give a summary of the listening we just listened to, the conversation, what would you say? Mine will be, he has had a dinner with this Bulgarian girl, but there were some confusing points in their visit. For example, he says, when you offer something to her, she nods her head up and down, and after that she says no. So he's confused whether this nodding is a yes or is a no. And his friend, the girl, provides some interpretation. For example, depending on the culture, sometimes you need to insist so the person accepts the offer or whatever. And overall, he says the time with that girl is pleasant, but some of the parts are confusing for him. This is a summary of this conversation. Now, one more time, let's listen to the conversation while looking at the text, okay?
It's pretty confusing. Part A. Listen and practice.
How was dinner with the new Bulgarian student last night? What's her name? Elena?
So, how was dinner with the new Bulgarian? Bulgarian.
Yeah, Elena. It was nice. We always have a good time, but
We always have a good time.
I still don't understand her very well. You see, when we offer her something to eat or drink,
When we offer something to eat or drink,
she nods her head up and down.
so this is with your head. In most countries, this means yes. This is called nod. She nods her head up and down.
But at the same time, she says no.
It might mean she wants to accept it, but
So she is not sure. Eva is not sure about her action. She says it might mean that. So the language of uncertainty. It might mean that. Probably it means that.
she thinks it's not polite. In some countries, you have to refuse any offer first.
In some countries, you have to so yeah, there are some cultures in which you need to say no first. Say no to the offer, and after several times the person insists, then you accept it. This is the culture.
Then the host insists and you accept it.
So,
I don't know. It's pretty confusing.
It could mean she doesn't want anything, but she thinks it's
another sentence expressing uncertainty. It might mean, it could mean,
rude to say no.
rude, impolite.
Actually, in some countries, when people move their heads up and down, it means no.
Really? Now I get it.
Okay, so these are cultural nuances. Culture to culture, behavior and gesture could be different. Now, part B, I think the conversation was not very difficult. Part B, let's listen to it and see what the rest of the conversation has for us.
Page 93. Exercise 3. Part B. Now listen to Elena talk to her friend. What does she find unusual about the way people in North America communicate?
Now, the other side of the story. Elena, the Bulgarian girl, is talking to her friend, and she has some ideas about unusual behavior in North America. Please take notes, give me a summary. After that, we will listen to the part one more time.
So, how are things at school, Elena?
Oh, pretty good, actually.
Do you find it easy to communicate with people?
Most of the time, yes. Although there are some things that seem strange to me. For instance, sometimes when a conversation is ending, people say, "Hey, let's get together soon." I used to say, "Okay, when?" And it always surprised people. Eventually, I realized, "Let's get together soon" is just a way of saying goodbye.
Right. It's not really an invitation at all. It's more like a way to say that you want to stay in touch.
Yeah, I know that now.
Okay, you got it? If you got it, please pause the video and give your summary. If you need to listen to it one more time, please do it again, and after that give your summary. Anyway, my summary, she says it's easy to communicate in North America except for sometimes. For example, sometimes people say, "Let's get together again." And in the past, she didn't know. So she would say, "When?" And people would feel, "Oh, why?" Now she knows that it is a way of saying goodbye, or it's a way to convey the meaning of let's stay connected or in touch with each other. Now she understands. So cultural differences, and it takes time for you to understand them in a new culture. Those who have immigrated to another country, they know what I mean. One more time, let's listen to the part sentence by sentence.
What does she find unusual about the way people in North America communicate?
So, how are things at school, Elena?
Oh, pretty good, actually.
Do you find it easy to communicate with people?
Do you find it easy to communicate with people?
Most of the time, yes. Although there are some things that seem strange to me. For instance, sometimes when a conversation is ending,
Sometimes when a conversation is ending,
people say, "Hey, let's get together soon."
let's get together soon.
I used to say, "Okay, when?"
I used to say. So you remember, we have talked about it in Unit 2. Used to, talking about something that happened in the past, not anymore. I used to say. Used to, followed by simple form of the verb, means things that happened in the past and not happen now anymore. I used to say means in the past I said.
And it always surprised people. Eventually, I realized.
Eventually, I realized. Finally. Eventually. Finally. I realized.
Let's get together soon is just a way of saying goodbye.
Let's get together soon is a way of saying goodbye.
Right. It's not really an invitation at all. It's more like a way to say that you want to stay in touch.
It's a way to say you want to stay in touch.
Yeah, I know that now.
Yeah. Okay, that was the conversation. Nice and clean. We talked about it, and it set the scene for exercise 4, grammar focus. Modals and adverbs, talking about uncertainty. So the language that you are not certain about something, you can use modals or adverbs about that uncertainty. Let's go to our word file and see what it has for us here. Modals and adverbs talking about uncertainty. Here we got. It might mean that. It could mean that. It must mean that. So as you see, as we're coming down, they are getting stronger. This one, you're not sure. This one, a little more, and it must mean that. So you are more certain about something. Might, could, must. Getting stronger in how certain you are. And counterpart for them here we have maybe, it means that. Perhaps it means that. So it might mean modal followed by simple form of the verb. But here adverb means. It means. It might mean. It perhaps means. It maybe means. It probably means a little stronger, probably stronger than perhaps. And it definitely means certain. Must mean. Definitely means. So at a glance here, you can understand how to convey language of uncertainty. Might, could, must, and here perhaps, probably, and definitely. So just please pronounce them correctly. This is probably and this is definitely. Okay, I hope you got it. It's not very difficult. You can take a screenshot here and have it in your files. So before going here, let's take a look at this part A. Not very difficult, but let's take care of that. Possible meanings of these 6 pictures. There is 6 gestures here. We want to match them with these interpretations. I don't know. Be quiet. Call me. That sounds crazy. I can't hear you. And come here. So with this grammar, for example, for this one, I can't hear you. So we should say, it could mean I can hear you. Or probably it means I can hear you. Or if you are 100% certain, which we are, we say, it definitely means I can hear you. Or that must mean I can hear you. Or this one, for example, it means I don't know. So perhaps it means I don't know. It might mean I don't know. And we are certain, we say, that definitely means I don't know. This one, be quiet. That must mean be quiet. That definitely means be quiet. If you're not sure about it, you say, it could mean be quiet. This one, come here. That probably means come here. That definitely means come here. That could mean come here. This one, call me. Call me. That must mean call me. That might mean call me. It depends how certain you are about that gesture. These gestures are clear and they are self-explanatory, but some gestures are not clear, so you use these ones. You're not certain about that. And this one sounds crazy. That sounds crazy. So that probably means that sounds crazy. Or that could mean that sounds crazy. Okay, this part was not very difficult, but For our language practice, I have prepared some grammar point here. Unscramble the sentences below. Very useful for developing your speaking skill and of course for honing your grammar. There is some sentences here scrambled. You put them in order. I didn't scramble them very much, so it's easy in the beginning to put them in order. It says, I tomorrow to the party go might. So this is the first sentence. I might go to the party tomorrow if finish I early my homework. If. Very good. So the answer is I might go to the party tomorrow if I finish my homework early. Okay. Number 2, this one. Sarah come to the cinema could with us. This is the first clause. If she's not busy. So the answer is Sarah could come with us to the cinema tonight if she's not busy. Okay. And there is one tonight which is missing here. I don't see any tonight. Anyway, this one. You tired after must be playing soccer. You followed by must and verb. You must be adjective tired after playing soccer. Straight for correct. So you must be tired after playing soccer for 2 hours straight. For 2 hours straight means non-stop, back to back, straight. Number 4, it's rain going to, so it's gonna rain or probably, so forget your don't umbrella. Did you understand it? It's probably gonna rain, so don't forget your umbrella. It's probably gonna rain, don't forget your umbrella. Number 5, he study. When you see it is he and study, surely we have a modal here. So he should study. Definitely more. He should definitely study more if. Okay, got it? He should definitely study more if he want to pass the exam. Number 6, the bus anytime now could arrive. Hurry with better. Did you understand it? Very good. So the bus could arrive anytime now with better hurry. With better hurry. Okay, and number 7, they lost be must, they must be. They've around been for hours wandering. You got it? The answer is they must be lost. They've been wandering around, walking around aimlessly for hours. And the last one, perhaps ask we for directions should. Perhaps we should ask. Very good. Not sure we, I'm, or where. Okay, did you understand this one? It's a little more puzzling. Perhaps we should ask for directions or directions, either is fine. I'm not sure where we are. Okay, did you understand? This was our grammar. Of course, not very difficult, but we covered it. And now, exercise 6, pronunciation, pitch. How high or low a sound is. That is called pitch. For example, The highness or lowness of a sound. High pitch is like bird chirping. That is very high. High pitch is like the voice of women in general. Low pitch is like the voice of men in general. For example, a truck rumbling. And what about piano notes? They range from high to low. Okay, so that is pitch, highness or lowness of a sound. And here we have some sentences which are not very difficult. Okay, so it says, do you think her gesture means no? Definitely. Definitely. Following intonation. Which one? Probably. Probably. So when you have falling intonation, you're certain. When you have rising, you're uncertain. Do you understand what her gesture means? Absolutely. Absolutely. Maybe. Maybe. Okay? Not difficult. Now, let's head for exercise 6, speaking. What's the matter with me? People have different problems. Sometimes they don't know why. It says, imagine you have one of these problems. What could explain it? The situations: I'm always late for class. I'm always exhausted at the end of the day. I'm often bored. I often argue with my friends. I'm often irritated or bothered with everyone at the office. Well, I'm always broke. So, what is the explanation for these? Why some people are always late for a class? So here I have provided answers to 3 of the situations. For example, it says, I'm always late for class. What could explain it? So you can pause the video here and say why some people are always late for class, meetings, job, appointments, whatever. My sample response for being late. Perhaps setting your alarm earlier might help. Set the alarm. Set alarm. At night you set the alarm, and the alarm in the morning goes off at 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock, whatever. And then you wake up. Maybe organizing your morning routine more efficiently could make a difference. You could also try leaving home earlier to avoid traffic. For example, the rush hour. Before the rush hour, morning rush hour, if you go, you can get to your work or class or whatever earlier. It's possible that prioritizing punctuality more must be your focus. Prioritizing punctuality. Prioritizing means put first. Priority, prioritize, putting something first. Punctuality, on time, being on time. So it means being on time should be your first option or your focus. Prioritizing punctuality more must be your focus. This is the answer, probable answer to getting late to the class. I'm always broke. I don't have money, moneyless. What could explain it? So your answer about people who don't have money all the time, they are in need. You might need to create a budget and stick to it. So create a budget. I want to spend this much for transportation, this much for example, dining out, this much for whatever, clothes, and stick to it. Stay with your plan. Perhaps finding additional sources of income could help too. Maybe cutting down on non-essential expenses. Cut down on something, reduce. Cutting down on non-essential expenses could make a difference. There is a possibility that you must prioritize saving money. So, saving money is your priority or not? That is the option. Alternatively, maybe seeking financial advice might be beneficial as well. So these are some sample responses, some advice for someone who is always broke. And the last one, I often argue with my friends. we have conflicts. What could explain that? So, about conflicts and argument, you might want to reflect on the root causes of these arguments. Reflect, think. You might want to think about the root causes of something, the basis or the base reasons of something. Root cause of these arguments, perhaps seeking better communication strategies could help. Better communication strategies could help. Maybe considering your friend's perspectives or thoughts more carefully could reduce conflict. Sometimes we don't put ourselves in the other person's shoes and we don't consider their perspective. Maybe they are saying something which is logical, and addressing underlying issues in your relationships is crucial. So finding the root causes, underlying issues in your relationship is crucial. So oftentimes people have argument or conflict because there is no conflict resolution strategy. Conflict resolution strategies. I suggest you search them and see what they are. Conflict resolution means resolving, solving the conflict. What are they? You need to talk. First and foremost, the two parties need to be talking together. Oftentimes people keep quiet in the hopes that the other person must know about it, but they often don't know. So you should confront people politely with the situation. Hey, I didn't like what you said. This is my reason. And then he or she brings their own reason, and then the conflict is solved. Conflict resolution strategies. Okay, so this was the speaking part here we took care of. And exercise 8, rules and regulations under perspectives. So here we have some signs. See, 1 to 8. There are some common signs you can see everywhere on street, these signs, and these are some interpretations, A to H. We're supposed to match them. Before we match, I should remind you that some of them are red. You're not allowed to be doing this. And the other ones are blue, saying you can do them. So have that in your mind. And just a look at this grammar focus. We're going to have our sentences under categories of permission, obligation, necessity, and prohibition. You're not allowed to do that. Okay? So have that in your mind. Now here, you can swim here. Of course, this one. Permission. You can. You're allowed to. You aren't allowed to take photos here. You aren't allowed to take photos. You aren't allowed to, or you cannot take photos. Prohibition. You have to fasten your seatbelt. Necessity. Obligation. You have to. You've got to fasten your seatbelt. So fasten your seatbelt or wear your seatbelt. You've got to take off your shoes to enter. In some holy places, you've got to, or you have to. Obligation. You're allowed to park here. You can park here. You can't turn left. You're not allowed to. Prohibition. Pets aren't allowed in this area. Prohibition. And you have to turn off electronic devices in this area. This one. So it means it is prohibition. You're not allowed to use your device here. Now, it was not difficult, but it says, where might you see these signs? For example, where might you see this sign? At a holy place, like, for example, at a mosque, or in some temples, depending on the religion and the way of thought. This one, you're not allowed to use your phone. For example, at the cinema or at a restaurant. The sign is there, but I don't know if people take care of that or not. You can swim here, so maybe at a shallow part of the river, maybe on the beach somewhere. You've got to fasten your seatbelt. So it is on the highway, on the street. Pets are not allowed. Some areas of parks, for example, or I don't know, some maybe restaurants, some stores, pets are not allowed. You're not allowed to take photos, for example, near a military base. Near a military base. Near a military base, or generally in military areas. Maybe at a museum. So you're allowed to park maybe on the street at a garage or somewhere, and no left turn, so of course on the street. Okay, this exercise set the scene for exercise 9, grammar focus. We are talking in 3 different categories of permission, obligation, and prohibition. So under permission, we have you can swim here, or you're allowed to, for example, park here. Can, you are allowed to be allowed to, verb, can, verb, simple form of the verb. You can, you're allowed to. Under obligation, so obligation means necessity, means force. So if we want to look at the meaning of that, Longman says
Obligation.
Obligation with the stress on G.
Obligation.
Moral duty. So simpler than that is the force, the necessity to do something. So here it says obligation. You have to fasten your seatbelt. It's not a choice. It's not permission. You have to do that. Otherwise, you will be fined. You've got to take off your shoes. Otherwise, you're not allowed entry. So obligation is necessity. And prohibition, opposite of that. You are not allowed to do that. Opposite of permission is prohibition. You're not allowed to do that. You can't do that. Can't, simple form of the verb. You're allowed something, or you're not allowed to do something. Permission, obligation, prohibition. Now here we have some signs. Use the language and grammar box to talk about these signs. What does it say? It says, firstly, these 3 which are red are prohibition, and the other ones are either permission or obligation. So this one is better than permission is obligation for this one. So you have to use the stairs in case of a fire, or you've got to use, these 2 are the same. You have to, you've got to use stairs in case of a fire. Number 2, prohibition. You're not allowed to listen to music here, for example, in a class, or you can't listen to, or you can't wear your headphones in the class. Number 3, maybe obligation is better. You have to throw your trash here. You've got to throw your trash here. Maybe you can throw your trash, but my choice is obligation for this one. Number 4, this one. You've got to put your phone on vibrate. You've got to put your phone on vibrate. Put your phone on vibrate. You got to put your phone on vibrate. Vibration, that you know what it is. Okay. And this one, again, prohibition. You're not allowed to drink or eat, for example, in the class or whatever. Number 6, permission. You can park your bike here. You're allowed to. There is no force. There's no necessity. You're allowed to do that. This one, prohibition. You're not allowed to record the class, the session, or whatever. And number 8, photo ID required, so obligation. You gotta show or produce a photo ID. So produce here means take out and show. So you gotta produce your photo ID. You gotta show, you gotta have your photo ID with you. This was the meaning of these signs. And now here, under the structure of this part, permission, obligation, and prohibition, I can tell you subject plus can, and simple form of the verb, subject, is allowed to, verb or are allowed to, whatever. And again, simple form of the verb, subject, has to or has got to, simple form of the verb for all of them. Permission, and this one, obligation. And of course, for the negation of that, you're not allowed to or you can't. Again, the same story with all of them, simple form of the verb followed. Now, extra practice here I got for you based on the picture below, based on this picture. A man behind the bars or in a jail. What can he do? What cannot he do? What is he allowed to do? What is he allowed not to do? And what does he have to do? So permission, obligation, and prohibition for someone behind the bars. Some sentences. He's allowed to visit approved individuals during designated hours, special hours. So it's not like every time he wants he can visit, for example, his family or his relatives. There is some designated hours. For example, Mondays 4 to 5, whatever. He's allowed to visit approved individuals, not everyone. Someone who is approved by the guards or prison or the system during designated hours. He is allowed to participate in educational and vocational programs, trade-like programs, if available. If available. So, for example, there is carpentry sessions, vocational. Plumbing sessions, vocational. He's allowed to participate or take part in those sessions if available. Number 3, he cannot possess or have contraband items, forbidden items, such as drugs or weapons. He's not allowed to. He cannot possess contraband items, forbidden items, such as drugs or weapons. He cannot leave the premises without proper authorization. Leave the premises. Premises means the land of the prison. So all the land of the prison. He's not allowed to leave the prison without proper authorization, permission. Authority should give permission before he can leave the premises. So he's not allowed to leave the premises without proper authorization. He cannot do that. Number 5, if he wants to join the programs, he's got to stick to the schedule. So there are some programs in the prison and he's got to stick to the schedule. He's got to follow the schedule. He has to follow the schedule regarding the time, the rules, or whatever. He has to follow facility rules. So you see how many words here we have instead of prison? Facility, premises, system. So if you are aiming to get a high grade on your IELTS or TOEFL or any other standardized test, language variety, both in terms of vocabulary and grammar. He has to follow facility rules, including a daily schedule. Okay, so there are some rules. Even a daily schedule, he's got to follow all those rules. Number 7. He's not allowed, he can take exercise time within specified areas. So there is some exercise time, sports, and there is some specific areas. He can do that. He is not allowed to engage in violent behavior or threaten others. Threat, threaten. So threat is the noun. En sometimes is a verb maker. Threaten. And threatening, adjective. Threatened, another adjective. Something is threatening, someone is threatened. Threat, threaten, threatening, threatened. So he's not allowed to threaten others. Make them fear. He has to follow all the rules, we know about that, and he's got to avoid violence at all costs. At all costs, under any circumstances. He's got to avoid violence, okay? So this is about this poor guy behind the bars and all the things he should do and he should not do. And now, part B in some speaking practice. What does it have for us? What are some of the rules in your office or at your school? So some school rules, some office rules. Please pause the video. And regarding the language of permission, prohibition, and obligation, please make some sentences about your facility. But here, my sample responses about someone at school. Eating in the classroom is not allowed during instructional time. Clear. Bringing weapons onto school grounds, land, premises. Bringing weapons onto school grounds is not allowed under any circumstances at any cost. See, language is getting repeated. Your job, transfer these beautiful points into your vocabulary notebook and read that over and over. Students can use electronic devices during designated break time. So designated time is something that right now we know and we have learned. Designated time, special time. Students have to complete assigned homework for academic success. Clear? Following the school's dress code has got to be a priority for all students. So the word priority and the word prioritize also we learned today. Priority, prioritize. Following the school's dress code. Some schools have got a dress code, some others do not. If there is a dress code, following that has got to be a priority for all students. They're not allowed to wear whatever they want. School dress code. Number 6. Use of foul language, bad language, swear, is not allowed and will result in disciplinary action. What a beautiful sentence. Number 1, it is use and not use because it's a noun. If it is a noun, use of foul language. Number 2, foul language we learn, bad language is not allowed and will result in, lead to, result in disciplinary action. Here Longman says disciplinary means the adjective, stress on the first syllable.
Disciplinary.
Disciplinary. Relating to the punishment of someone. So the investigation.
The investigation led to disciplinary action against 2 officers.
So punishing them. Disciplinary committee. The committee for punishing the behavior, bad behavior. So use of foul language is not allowed and will result in punishment. Number 7, students can participate in extracurricular activities, the activities after school or other than the mainstream activities of the class. For example, like music in some schools. Students can participate in extracurricular activities if they maintain good academic standing or good academic performance. And number 8, students have got to respect teachers and classmates in order to create a positive learning environment. Create a positive learning environment. Even these beautiful chunks are good for you to transfer into your vocabulary notebook, and then in your speaking, in your writing, you can just produce them. Create a positive learning environment. Very beautiful. Number 9, skipping classes is not allowed without proper authorization. So proper authorization, again, we saw it several times. Skipping classes is not allowed without proper authorization from the school administration or the office. But one point here we see classes, but it says is not allowed. Why? Because it's not classes. It is skipping is not allowed. Subject, head of the subject is skipping. Skipping is not allowed. Skipping classes, not attending classes, not going to classes is not allowed. And number 10, students have to report any instances of bullying or harassment, bothering others, they witness or experience, whether they see or whether they experience themselves. Bullying, you know what it is. Okay, so these are the rules of the school. We talked about it, and our grammar beautifully finished. Language of permission, obligation, and prohibition, not difficult. Exercise 10, discussion. Play by the rules. So, the rules in these areas, at the gym, at a public swimming pool, on a plane, in a museum, in a movie theater, or at work. What are the rules? You'd better use the language of permission, prohibition, and obligation. Here, my sample responses, for example, for the gym. What can you think of some rules at a gym? The rules at the gym, I say, wearing appropriate athletic attire or clothes is required for using the gym equipment. So wearing special clothes or appropriate clothes is required or is necessary. Or you can say you gotta wear appropriate athletic attire. You have to wear. Bringing outside food or drink is not allowed in the workout area, or you're not allowed to bring outside food. You can't bring outside food. Users have got to follow proper etiquette, way of behavior, such as wiping down machines after use, noun, use, to maintain cleanliness. So you're using this machine, you got to wipe it or clean your sweat, for example, on the machine so others can use it nice and clean. Etiquette, way of behavior, proper etiquette, proper behavior. Number 4, the last one, engaging in loud or disruptive behavior is not permitted, is not allowed, to ensure a focused workout environment. Other people are going to have their workout in a focused environment. You're not allowed to speak loudly. You're not allowed to have disruptive behavior, jumping around or playing with the machines or maybe having fun time with your friends. That is disruptive behavior. It is disturbing others. It is disturbing the focus of others. What about at a swimming pool, at a public swimming pool? It says running on the pool deck. Running on the pool deck is not allowed to prevent slips and falls. If you don't want to slip, if you don't want to fall, you're not allowed to run because the deck is slippery. Slippery. You can easily slip. Diving into shallow areas is strictly forbidden, surely, for safety reasons. So, for safety reasons, sometimes they say for sanitary reasons. For sanitary reasons, that is also beautiful. For sanitary reasons means for the reasons related to cleanliness. For example, for sanitary reasons, swimmers are supposed to take showers before coming to the pool, for example. This one, showering before entering the pool is required to maintain water hygiene. Hygiene, cleanliness. Now, water hygiene. Swimmers have to follow lifeguard instructions in case of emergencies. So the rules at a swimming pool and on a plane. Smoking is not allowed on the aircraft, synonym for plane, aircraft, at any time. Using electronic devices in airplane mode is permitted during certain phases of the flight. So it is permitted. So you're allowed to, you can use electronic devices, but in airplane mode. Otherwise, you might disturb the navigation systems of the plane. Passengers can recline their seats. So recline their seats. Not every time, during designated times. So designated times is something we learned in this session. Fastening seatbelts during takeoff and landing is mandatory or is necessary for safety. So for safety reasons, passengers are required to wear their seatbelts. Okay, and that was our discussion part. Now we're heading for exercise 11, and that is road signs. So listen to 4 conversations about driving and number the situations they are discussing in the correct order from 1 to 4. Okay, let's listen. First time we are listening, you just take notes, give me a summary of the part. A second time we will listen to that sentence by sentence.
1.
Number 1, listen please, take notes, give a summary on that, okay?
Huh. That seems strange.
What is it?
All these cars have their lights on. It's the middle of the day and the sun is shining.
Well, we are driving in the mountains, and these roads are pretty narrow. Oh, and look at that sign. It says all cars need to have their headlights on for the next 5 miles.
Oh, you're right. I guess lights can only help us in these conditions.
Okay, so talking about turning the car headlights on mountain roads. So if you want to give the summary, please pause the video and do so. Otherwise, my summary, they're driving in a mountainous area and she's wondering why all the cars have their headlights on, but then they come across a sign saying the cars must have their headlights on for the following 5 miles. It helps them with better visibility during day, so daylight. Number 2, please.
2.
I wonder why that traffic officer is signaling me.
Perhaps he means you're driving too fast.
No, I don't think so. The speed limit is 60 and I'm only going 55.
I wonder why there are no other cars in this lane.
What do you mean?
Well, you see how all the other cars are in the lane next to us?
You're right. I think this one is just for buses and taxis. They really should put up better signs around here.
And this one, talking about this one, cars can be in the bus and taxi lane. So she's wondering why this traffic officer is signaling. So he suggests maybe you're driving too fast, but no, that's not the case because she's going 5 kilometers or 5 miles, even less than the speed limit. But they realize that they are in a lane designated for buses and taxis. And she blames it on the city, says they should put up better signs here on the street. And next one, please.
3.
Oh no, not another parking ticket. That's the second one this week. Why did I get a ticket for parking here? I thought this was a free parking zone.
Maybe you can only park here after working hours. Is there a sign around anywhere?
Oh, you're right. There's one over there. I didn't even notice it. Looks like you can't park here till after 6 p.m.
How much is the fine?
$60. Can you believe that?
Okay, so it is for cars allowed to park in this area after 6 p.m. He got a second parking ticket this week and he doesn't know why, but turns out there was a sign saying you're not allowed to park till after 6 p.m. and the ticket is $60, which is a pain in some parts of the body. Problematic.
4.
That's weird. The last few cars driving toward us were flashing their lights.
I see what you mean. There's another one.
Maybe my lights are on or something. Let me check. No, they're off.
Do you think there's an accident up ahead? Maybe you'd better slow down.
Oh, now I see what's happening. There's a patrol car up ahead checking people's speed. How nice of those other drivers to let me know. Well, I'm within the speed limit.
Interesting. People cooperating with each other. against rules and the patrol car. So cars coming ahead are flashing their lights, and he doesn't know why they are flashing their lights. He first thinks that maybe his lights are on or something, but that's not the case. She suggests maybe there was an accident, so slow down a bit, but turns out there was a patrol car checking people's speed, and they wanted to signal the guy to reduce your speed because there is a police up ahead. Okay, this was the first time we listened to the part. Now, a second time listening to it sentence by sentence. I know giving the summary after listening to the part might be difficult for you, but that is a great way to improve your speaking. Do that. A second time.
1.
Huh. That seems strange.
What is it?
All these cars have their lights on.
All these cars have their lights on. So have your light on, have your light off. Lights on, lights off.
It's the middle of the day and the sun is shining.
Middle of day, the sun is shining, so why the lights are on?
Well, we are driving in the mountains, and these roads are pretty narrow.
We're driving in the mountains. Pronunciation of the word is mountain. Some students go mountain. It's mountain. There is no sound between t and n. Mountain. Mountain.
Oh, and look at that sign. It says all cars need to have their headlights on for the next 5 miles.
Headlights. Headlight, and the opposite is tail light. So if we go for tail light, the picture will be the lights at the back of the car. And then if we have headlight, the lights in front of the car. Headlight, tail light.
Oh, you're right. I guess lights can only help us in these conditions.
2.
I wonder why that traffic officer is signaling me.
I wonder why. I don't understand why. I wonder why. I don't know why.
Perhaps he means you're driving too fast.
No, I don't think so. The speed limit is 60, and I'm only going 55.
Speed limit.
I wonder why there are no other cars in this lane.
No other cars in this lane. Lane.
What do you mean?
Well, you see how all the other cars are in the lane next to us?
You're right. I think this one is just for buses and taxis. They really should put up better signs around here.
They really should put up better signs around here. Put up better signs.
3.
Number 3.
Oh no, not another parking ticket.
Not another parking ticket. So, parking ticket.
That's the second one this week. Why did I get a ticket for parking here?
So, get a ticket, get a parking ticket, traffic ticket.
I thought this was a free parking zone.
Free parking zone.
Maybe you can only park here after working hours. Is there a sign around anywhere?
So you see the language of probability. Maybe you can park here only after working hours.
Oh, you're right. There's one over there. I didn't even notice it. Looks like you can't park here till after 6 p.m.
Looks like you can't park here till after 6 p.m.
How much is the fine?
How much is the fine? Noun, fine, verb. So how much is the fine? Or I was fined. I was fined the other day for parking, for example, on the street.
$60. Can you believe that?
Well, that's bad.
4.
That's weird.
That's weird. Strange.
The last few cars driving toward us were flashing their
Last few cars driving toward us. Toward us were flashing their lights.
lights.
I see what you mean. There's another one.
Maybe my lights are on or something.
Maybe my lights are on or something.
Let me check. No, they're off.
Do you think there's an accident up ahead?
There's an accident up ahead. Up ahead. There's an accident up ahead.
Maybe you'd better slow down.
Maybe you'd better slow down. You'd better slow down. You'd better. You should. Recommendation. Advice. You'd better.
Oh, now I see what's happening. There's a patrol car up ahead. Check.
There's a patrol car. Patrol car or police car.
People's speed. How nice of those other drivers to let me know.
How nice of those other people to let me know.
Well, I'm within the speed limit.
Okay, I am within the speed limit. Okay, so that was the story of the listening we listened to. I hope you're good with it. Now, part C. Let's see if we have any speaking part here. Yes. So, the speaking practice for us here. It says, how do you move around your city? So, some traffic rules, and I suppose the person answering this is from Iraq, from Basra, from Mosul, from Baghdad, whatever in Iraq. It says, in Iraq, it is illegal to drive with a dirty license plate. I don't know about that, but it's illegal to drive with a dirty license plate. Avoid transporting passengers in the back of pickup trucks. Don't hang objects from the rear view mirror, as it can obstruct your view. So some people hang a doll or a CD or something, a monument. It says avoid hanging objects. Why? Because it can obstruct your front view. You hang something off the mirror, but it is blocking your view in front. It's illegal to drive with sandals on. I don't know. Do not drive with your arm resting on the window. So some people resting their arms, of course this arm, on the window. Okay, these were some sample response for someone living in Iraq. Okay, you can answer based on your own country. And now, exercise 12, golden rules. Discuss the rules that currently exist at your school. So here again, talking about the rules at school. We talked about it once, but now one more time. Let's do that. Discuss the rules that currently exist at your school. At our school, we have rules to keep everyone safe and focused on learning. For example, we need to raise our hand before speaking in class. Also, we must wear our school uniforms every day, so school dress code. Another important rule is to respect our teachers and classmates. Okay, so these are the rules. And nice and clean, everybody at a school understands them. But the second part, think of other rules that would be a good idea to be added to your school, for example. It says, I think it would be a good idea to add some new rules. Topic sentence clearly says what the paragraph is going to be about. Now, the supports for that. Maybe we could have a rule about cleaning up after ourselves in the cafeteria. It would help keep our school clean and tidy. Also, we could have a rule about being kind to each other and not bullying anyone. This would make our school a happier place for everyone. Okay, so about the rules already in place at school, about the rules you'd like to be added to your school or system. We talked about it. Okay, and now the unit is finishing. Exercise 13, understanding idioms, the reading of the unit. So I have had it typed beforehand for you guys, and now here we have it, understanding idioms. Let's read and see what it is. Idioms. What are idioms? Here it tells us. Idioms can be a problem for language learners. They often seem to make absolutely no sense at all. So, make sense. Make sense means have meaning. Sometimes they don't have any meaning. Why? For example, imagine your English friend Sam tells you his math exam was a piece of cake. So my math, piece of cake, what's the relation? Don't you imagine him at school sitting in front of a sweet dessert? Desert. That one is Sarah. This one is dessert, stress on the second syllable. Anyway, sitting in front of a sweet dessert with nothing but a pen to eat it with. In fact, he's saying that the exam was really easy. It's important to learn useful English idioms, and knowing their origins helps us to remember them. Here are stories of 3 English idioms. So, part A. If you ask a friend to hang out, you might hear, "Sorry, I can't tonight." Why? I'm feeling a little under the weather. Under the weather. Under the weather idiom. It may sound like rain is coming, but really, it means that your friend feels sick. This expression came from sailors who often got seasick, get seasick when bad weather tossed the ship from side to side. Tossed or moved the ship from side. So if the ship is tossed from side to side, you might get sick, get seasick. The sailors went down to the bottom part of the ship, away from the storm, and where the ship's rocking or tossing was gentler, less. So bottom of the ship rocks or moves side to side or is tossed gently. Top of the mast, it's like a pendulum. So they went down in order to feel better. Okay, so that is feel under weather. That's what it says here. Feeling a little under the weather, our idiom here. And the second one, if you have a difficult roommate, the roommate that doesn't obey rules and laws and things of the, for example, dormitory, you might say, "My roommate has loud parties every night, but last night was the last straw." Last night was the last straw. What is straw? Look at Google image. This is straw. This is straw. And it could be also straw. So that was the last straw. What does that mean? They played music till 5 a.m. I'm moving out. A last straw is a final problem that makes someone take action, do something. This expression is a short form for the phrase that the straw that broke the camel's back. So a straw like this, it's not going to be heavy for a camel, but if a camel is already under too much problem, too much straw, one small thing added and then it breaks the camel's back. So it says the straw that broke the camel's back. So that was the last straw. This was the final thing I could tolerate, and I'm going to take an action now. The idea is that even though a single piece of straw is very light, not heavy, many pieces added together will be too heavy for the camel to carry. So I have put up with so many problems, and now this last one, it's gonna break everything. That is the end of my patience. And part C, have you ever asked someone if they know something and they reply, "That rings a bell. That rings a bell to me"? They're not hearing music. They mean that what you're saying sounds familiar, and they think they've heard it before. The idiom comes from the fact that bells are used to remind people of many things. Traditionally, bells would toll, would ring for an important event like a wedding. School bells tell you that class is starting, and even the alarm chime on your phone reminds you that it's time to get up. So the alarm chime or the alarm sound or your reminder. Okay, so the three idioms in our reading that we covered: under the weather, feeling under the weather, that rings a bell to me, and that was the last straw. These were the three idioms we covered. Here, part B and part C, not very difficult, but let's take care of them. Read the article and correct the false statements below. You can guess the meaning of an idiom if you understand each word. Impossible, you cannot guess. In the past, people knew about important events when they heard shouting, the bells, when they heard the bells. A camel falls down if it has to carry too much water, no straw. And sailors used to feel sicker when they went down they felt better when they went to the bottom of the ship. And complete sentences using the correct form of one of the idioms. Julie has a bad cold at the moment and she's feeling under the weather. I don't remember his face, but his name rings a bell to me. When the neighbor's noisy kids broke my window with their ball, it was the last straw, because before that they had made so much noise, they had made lots of problems, and this was the last straw. I can't put up with that anymore. Part D, speaking practice. What idioms are commonly used in your country? Where do you think they come from? For this part, my sample response, I imagine that the person is coming from the United States. So, idioms in the United States. In the United States, there are many common idioms that people use in everyday conversations. Some of these idioms include break a leg, which means good luck, hit the hay, which means go to bed, and bite the bullet. Bite the bullet, which means endure or tolerate a difficult situation. So, three idioms here I am talking to you about. Break a leg, one of them, meaning good luck, hit the hay, go to bed, and bite the bullet means endure something difficult. Now, where do they come from? These idioms often come from various sources, different sources, such as historical events, literature, and cultural influences. For example, break a leg is believed to originate from the theater world, where wishing someone good luck directly was considered bad luck. Instead, actors would say the opposite. For example, hoping that misfortune would lead to a successful performance. I hope you break a leg. So, something bad. But when you change it to the opposite intention or meaning, it means good luck. So, break a leg means good luck. Hit the hay. So, what is hay? If you know what hay is, then you better understand. This is hay. So, maybe used for sleeping in some farm areas. Hit the hay is believed to have originated in the United States in the early 20th century, likely from the practice of farmers hitting or beating their hay mattress, to fluff them up before going to bed. So, this is your hay, you hit it to fluff it up a little, raise it before going to bed. So hit the hay. It is the last thing you do before going to bed. So hit the hay means go to bed. Similarly, bite the bullet. Bite the bullet. So what is bullet? Let's first see what bullet is. Bullet. Bite the bullet. So who might bite the bullet? Has its roots in military history, where soldiers would literally bite on a bullet during surgery to endure the pain, to tolerate the pain. So there was no anesthetics, so they just wanted to do the surgery, perform the surgery, and the soldier had to bite something in order not to shout so much. So anyway, bite the bullet while performing the surgery. Okay, this was the reading with 3 idioms. Now the summary of the reading. It says, you know that summary is a welcome skill, especially in TOEFL IBT. Very useful for test takers in TOEFL IBT. For any other language learner, it's going to be great because it tells you how you can put your grammar and vocabulary after understanding a text into the summary of that, conveying the same meaning but in your own language. Summary of this reading. The reading explores the confusion idioms create for language learners. It discusses the origins of 3 English idioms. What are they? Under the weather, the last straw, and rings a bell. Under the weather originated from sailors feeling sick or seasick during storms. The last straw, so I don't say last straw, it is last straw. This T is not that strongly pronounced, so here we have final S sound and beginning S sound. So like we hear one S sound and it is the last straw. The last straw symbolizes the final problem leading to an action, like adding straw, breaking the camel's back, and ring a bell refers to something sounding familiar. For example, like bells used for reminders. Understanding idioms, meanings, and origins aids retention or remembering for language learners. And that marks the end of our unit, my friends. Okay, so as a unit review in our book, what did we do? Unit 14, we talked about emojis, gestures, and body language. We had some vocabulary here, and we talked about the important ones. Here, the conversation, which was not very difficult, grammar focus, talking about degrees of certainty with modals and with adverbs. Here we had some speaking. We talked about the root cause of these problems. We developed our speaking. Again, rules and regulations under perspective, marking the grammar focus for talking about permission, obligation, and prohibition for us. Can and allowed, to be allowed to for permission, have to, have got to for obligation, and can't and are not allowed to or to be not allowed to for prohibition. We had also some speaking parts here. Again, another speaking part here for rules of gym, pull, and also on the plane. We had the listening, talking about the traffic signs and regulations, writing, talking about school rules, and the origin of idioms that we just covered. And here in the word file, if I want to talk about the important points we covered here, we talked about flair, which meant style or maybe feelings, versatile, which means of different types of talents, message, massage, we talked about it. And here we had the nuance, for example, cultural nuances, cultural differences. We talked about the reduced adjective clause, very useful, very important. And here talking about the weirdest emojis. We talked about, for example, talking about intrigue, which here it means complication. Vary, which means the verb of various. Word power and the speaking part. Here we had stem from, arise or come from, convey my thoughts, to transfer my thoughts, overcome these hurdles or overcome these problems, barriers. Unsanitary conditions means dirty conditions. And here we talked about used to, a habit for the past, eventually, which means finally. Modals and adverbs. I told you after modals we have simple form of the verb. Might mean, could mean, must mean. But here, adverbs, it perhaps means. It probably means, it definitely means. Under our grammar part, we had unscrambling of the sentences, very useful for our grammar and language formation. Under pitch, we talked about high pitch, low pitch sounds. The speaking part, set your alarm at night and the alarm goes off in the morning. Prioritize, we talked about punctuality, which means being on time. Cut down on something or reduce something. Root cause of something, very beautiful. Please transfer that into your vocabulary notebook. Conflict resolution strategies, very beautiful for you if you want to solve your problem with others. Military base, we know what it is, or if you don't know right now, I will show you what it is. Military base, military camp. And grammar, permission, obligation, prohibition, we talked a lot about it. Just you know that after all of them, we have simple form of the verb. Put your phone on vibrate, Here talking about this guy behind the bars and the things he is allowed to, he is not allowed to, and he has to do. Threat, threaten, threatening, threatened, we talked about it. And here under the speaking part, we had some language again regarding our grammar. Disciplinary action, you know, about punishment it was. And here bully and harassment, you know what they are. Discussion part, proper etiquette. Proper etiquette means way of behavior, we talked about it. For safety reasons, for sanitary reasons, we talked about them. Hygiene, which means cleanliness and sanitation. On a plane rules, for example, designated time is something we talked about a lot and now we know it. Under the listening, mountain, pronunciation, headlight, tail light, we talked about. I wonder why, I don't know why. Put up better signs, we talked about it. Parking ticket, fine as a noun, fine as a verb. And weird, strange, driving toward us or towards us, both of them acceptable. And there's an accident up ahead, we know about it. You'd better means you should, this is my advice. Patrol car or police car, we talked about it. Rules and regulations in Iraq, we talked about. Writing here, and rules of the school and what rules would you like to be added to your school. And the reading part, makes sense, which means have meaning for us. The three idioms that we talked about, take action, do something, you know about it already. And here the US and some of its idioms. Okay, so that marks the end of the session for us, my friends. As my final comment, I hope you enjoy these sessions. If you do, please like the videos, please share them with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so. All of these are useful for growing my channel. I hope your English is getting better daily through watching these videos. On top of all of that, I hope you have a brilliant day ahead of yourself. Take very good care and bye